Thank you, Pepe, for giving me the floor. Good morning, everyone. I will just try to share my screen. Is it working?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Great. Okay, my name is Rasmus Nielsen, and I'm Associate Professor at the Department of Food and Resource Economics at the University of Copenhagen. And I have been joining this work package 6 here in the Mid-8 project. And we have done some analysis on technical efficiency and productivity development in the sea bass and sea bream industry that I will present to you here. The content of the presentation is first the objective, then there's a little bit of the method and data, the results that we have achieved, and then some conclusions and recommendations. But the overall objective of the economic work package is to increase the competitiveness and sustainability of the Mediterranean marine fish farming sector, producing sea bream and sea bass. And particularly in part 6.1.1, we have focused on analyzing the industry development over time at both the farm and the firm level. And we have looked at technical efficiency and productivity progress within the industry. And the aim of this work package is to see whether the industry can improve its performance and also to see how this can be done. And in the studies, we have used 2 different methods and we have used 2 different data sets. And the first method that we have used is the stochastic frontier analysis. And in this study, we look at technical efficiency progress of firms over time, including a discussion on enterprise size and also the country of production, and if these 2 things are actually influencing on the efficiency of the firms. The data that we have used in this first part is from the Orbis database containing firm accounts. And the data includes 669 account records for enterprises over the years from 2008 to 2016. And the variables that we have taken from this data set and used in the analysis is for the output is the sales revenue. And then for the input, we have included the labor cost, the capital cost, and material cost. And then as a second stage analysis, we then test if the size of the industry and the country of production influence on the efficiency of the firms. And the countries that are included in the data set is all around the Mediterranean is Greece, Spain, Italy, France, Croatia, Portugal, and Slovenia. For the second analysis that we have done, we have used another method called data envelopment analysis. And here we also investigate technical efficiency, but we also look at scale effects at the sea cage farming producing sea bass and sea bream. And here we include a discussion on environmental variables, and environmental variables are the emission of nitrogen, phosphorus, and also organic material. The data for this analysis is collected by the Mid-8 project within work package 1. And the data include 32 farms for the years 2016 and 17. And in this analysis, we have included the variables of, as output, we have used production in tons. And for the input, we have used feed. We have used fingerling and also labor in persons. And here as a second stage, we then test if emissions of nitrogen, phosphorus, and organic material influence or how it influences on productivity. The country included in this is Greece, Spain, Italy, France, Croatia, Cyprus, Turkey, Egypt, and Tunisia. So that's quite a lot of countries. The methods that we have used here, stochastic frontier analysis and data envelopment analysis, are both benchmarking methods. And the methods benchmark the individual farm or firm to a best practice frontier. And this way, a best practice can be identified from who are actually performing best of the farms and the firms. And the best practice can be described as the ability of the individual farms or firms to actually convert inputs. In the first case, it was feed, fingerling, and labor to tons of output, or in the other case, it was cost of labor, capital, and materials to sales revenue. And farms or firms not being at the front can then learn from the better performing farms that can be identified through these studies. And this way they can optimize their production and looking at the best producing companies or farms. So the results that we have obtained from the stochastic frontier analysis is actually that the industry has improved their efficiency over time, and it's actually improved from 2008 to 2016, looking at the enterprise level. We estimate that the mean efficiency is 0.64, and this actually means that on average, the farms could actually improve their output without increasing their input with 36%. And that's quite a lot. We also find that if the farms in this analysis increase the use of labor, capital, cost, or material cost, they could all increase the sales revenues. So more input will increase the efficiency. We look also at how firm size influence on efficiency, and here we use 3 size categories, but from that we cannot find an effect on the size of the companies, so it doesn't seem that bigger firms are performing better than smaller firms in this analysis. On the other hand, when we are looking at countries, it seems like enterprises operating in France and Italy are slightly better than in other countries. However, the results should be taken with some cautions because we have not that many observation in each individual country. So the results from the other data and development analysis is then only on the years 2016 and 17. And here we actually find that the technical efficiency is decreasing between these 2 years. So it seems like it was increasing from 2008 to 16, but in later years it might have been decreasing. On average, here we also find that the farms can improve their efficiency between 16 and 29%, depending on the model that we have used. And the 29% corresponds good to the other results that we have in the stochastic frontier model. Just the output of the farms could actually be increased here with 16 to 29% without actually increasing the use of inputs. And the inputs here was feed, fingerlings, and also labor. It seems that farms are not operating at an optimal scale, suggesting that there's room to actually improve the scale of operation, which might consider that bigger firms actually here could actually produce or be more productive if you have bigger farm sizes. For the environmental variables reported, we can calculate that the feed conversion rate is between 2.3 to 2.5 kilos of feed to produce 1 kilo of fish. And surprisingly, this has not actually changed significantly over the past 20 years, which means that there might be something here that could be improved for the companies. Also, the best producers also seems to have the highest emission of nutrients, which is a bit surprising because if you're producing efficient, you will also expect that you use less feed and therefore also emission less nutrients to the surroundings. However, again here, the estimate should be taken with some cautions because we only have 32 farms in the data set. So the conclusion that we have drawn from the two analyses is that we are looking at a production and market for the sea bream and sea bass industry that reveals a highly competitive market where firms are facing lower prices due to increasing supplies, especially in the later years. And to stay competitive, there must be a continuous focus on all the time improving technical efficiency and profitability. Also seeing that there will be more competition for countries outside the European Union where production is growing and they have lower cost. And here we especially look at Egypt and Tunisia. In this situation, increasing technical efficiency can be one of the keys to actually reduce the operational cost if you know what to do. And this could actually then maintain firms' profitability. And our results also show there's room in the sea bass and sea bream industry to actually improve technical efficiency by increasing scale of operation. However, regarding the economics of scale performance, the results are a bit ambiguous because the first one showed that when looking at the enterprise size, it didn't seem that there were significant differences between small and large scale farms. However, other studies at the sea bream and sea bass industry and also Norwegian aquaculture show that there are economics of scales within the aquaculture industry, and larger firms are actually performing better than smaller firms. But we couldn't identify that from the account data set. When we're looking at the country effect, it also seems that some countries may perform better than others. And here we should also take the results a little bit with caution, because using account data sets where different countries may have different rules on how to do the accounting can cause some estimation problems. However, it seems like Italy and France were doing better than the rest of the countries, and we can learn from that. A positive side effect of becoming technical efficient when farms or firms are actually able to use less input to produce the same output is that it could actually also mean that the firms are becoming more environmental friendly, because if they use less feed, they will also emission less nitrogen and phosphorus. However, we saw that it was the other way around here, and that can be due to how the feeding practice is actually maybe did better to use a lot of feed to produce the output instead of actually holding back on the feed. But if we then look at firms to be more efficient and more productive, it could be a good idea to learn from the farms that actually use less feed, and that will also have a positive influence on the environmental practices. And finally, for some of the recommendation from these two studies is that when we look at aquaculture and value chains, we have seen that productivity growth can occur at all stages in the value chain, both upstream and downstream to the farm and firm itself. And this is just as important as the productivity growth within the farm itself. And Norwegian studies shows that maybe 2/3 of productivity gains are actually coming from input providers or other places in the value chain. And the consumers consuming the product don't care when or where this productivity gains are happening. They are only looking at the price. So it's important to look at the whole chain when we are looking at productivity and efficiency of the industry. So a way forward to improve technical efficiency, productivity, and profitability could be the clustering of enterprises or more vertical and horizontal integration in the sector. Studies on these clustering points toward that closer interaction in clusters within this aquaculture sea cage farming sector has benefit for the industry all along the supply chain, and farms or enterprises located close to each other can benefit from the same logistic sharing of labor and exchanging of knowledge, research and innovation that are done at the industry, and also clusters of industry can attract input providers that make the chain more efficient. And finally, learning by doing and learning from the best in the sector may also be expanded so that we are not only have a national focus, but we more have a regional focus for the Mediterranean, for example, or even international focus. From our finding, it seems that some industries are performing better than others, and which other countries can learn from. And more focus on the feed conversion rate that does not seem to have improved over the past 20 years could be something to look more into, because feeds constitute the largest share of cost in the industry, and a better utilization of feed could make farms more technical, efficient, profitable, and also environmental friendly. Just it would be worthwhile to consider how a better feed utilization could be achieved, either through improved feeds, more efficient feeding strategy, or improved feeding technologies. And finally, a suggestion is to focus on collection of economic data that support further research on how farms and firms can become more productive. And this is essential if we should have more information on where we actually could improve our farms' efficiency and productivity. Because the experience from this work package and this study has been that it's very difficult to get hands-on economic data from the industry. And we can see from the Norwegian farms and industry that most studies there are done because they have access to economic data, and that improve how the sector actually can be given advice to improve their efficiency and productivity. So that was all from me. Thank you very much.